Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to be predicting the Europa League quarterfinals. Now, I easily could go 0 for 4 on this. Sure, these matchups look easy on the surface, but holy crap, we've already seen so many twists and turns in the Europa League. I mean, sure, Juventus looked like the favorites against Sporting, but so did Arsenal in the round of 16s against them, and who ended up coming out on top. Anything's possible in this competition, and many of the teams that are still in the race have had quite brilliant seasons themselves. So, lots of talking points for each of these teams. I already did a prediction video for the Champions League quarterfinals, so if you haven't checked that out already, make sure you do. I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, just like the Champions League video, I'm going to be uploading all of my predictions onto the Pooky website. Make sure you send over your predictions onto Pooky as well, as their play and earn mode is finally here. For each scoreline you predict correct, you'll receive a varying amount of Matic currency depending on the Pooky ball you select. You can choose from 4 Pooky ball rarities: common, rare, epic, and legendary, to get your lifetime Pooky League's game pass. The rarer the Pooky ball, the more boost points it receives at mint. And owning a Pooky ball gives you access to the play and earn leaderboards. The minimum prize pool per match day per league is 500 Matic, which is about $600, and it increases as more players join. And obviously your rank on the leaderboards determines your rewards. We're going over the Europa League today, but they've also got the top 5 domestic leagues in Europe, along with the Champions League, of course. And they've just added the Euro qualifiers as well. It is definitely my favorite predictor game out there. So I definitely recommend you submit your predictions as well, as you could earn loads of rewards. And of course, maybe prove that you're a better predictor than me. But yeah, I'll leave a link to Pooky in the description below. Make sure you check them out. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with already a very difficult matchup. Feyenoord versus Roma. These sides faced each other already last year in the Conference League final. Roma in the final, despite not holding most of the possession throughout the match, still grabbed a 1-0 win. After that season, Feyenoord got rid of many other top talents. I mean, 3 of them to the Premier League, such as Sinisterra to Leeds, Malakia to United, Senesi to Bournemouth, so some people suspected that they wouldn't be as strong this season. However, not only are they in the Europa League quarterfinals, they also sit at first in the Eredivisie by quite a fine point margin at the time of this recording. They only have 1 loss so far this season, and obviously the fans are gassed as they have just beaten their rivals Ajax away 2-3, which recently extended that point gap even further between the two clubs. And in their last Europa League fixture against Shakhtar in the second leg, they went all out, scoring 7 goals. That match finished 7-1. Aggregate 8-2 between the two clubs. This squad continues to look like a complete unit with the likes of Danilo, who left Ajax for free, Santiago Jimenez, Zaha Baksh. Their Turkish captain Kokcu has been excellent. Polish attacking midfielder Szymanski. I mean, there are just so many players to go on about this squad, and they very much could be fueled to get revenge against Roma. As yeah, they lost to them in the final of the Conference League. The first ever Conference League final. It could have been Feyenoord's. Now, Feyenoord have potential to win a quote-unquote bigger trophy, and they could halt Roma's progression here. They could frustrate Jose Mourinho, as yeah, he has good success rate in these knockout competitions. He could still get the best out of Feyenoord. But overall, Roma this season have been a bit all over the place. At the time of this recording, their last match, they did just beat Sampdoria 3-0, a massive win. But right before then, they lost to their rivals Lazio, and then the week before then, they lost to Sassuolo at home. Roma at the moment sit at 5th place in the Serie A, but that very much could change at the time you're watching this, as look at the point gap between 3rd to 5th place. They're still fighting for that top 4. Serie A obviously has been a bit all over the place this season. I mean, the teams that are in top 5 as a whole have all had their rough patches. I'm referring to domestically in Italy, because of these European tournaments, most of them are killing it. The only ones that have been knocked out so far from the ones I mentioned are Lazio, who lost to AZ Alkmaar in the Conference League round of 16. Napoli, Milan, Inter, and Roma are all in their European tournament quarterfinal position. They all just have that knockout mentality at the moment. So Roma versus Feyenoord. Extremely tough matchup to call at the moment, I'm telling you. Wijnaldum's obviously back in solid form as he's just scored against Sampdoria. Paulo Dybala has been killing it this season, of course. I'm really starting off with the toughest one. I don't know who to call here. Absolute flip of a coin. Roma obviously have that recent history against Feyenoord, but Feyenoord's season has just been too spectacular for me to ignore. I think they're going to grab revenge here. I'm going to say in the first leg it finishes 2-0 for Feyenoord. Second leg, Roma grab a 1-0 win, but it's obviously not enough. Feyenoord advance to the semifinals. It's going to be a close encounter. I really won't be surprised if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with the Dutch side here, who have just simply been shining this season. Best of luck to both clubs, though. Now let's move on to Juventus versus Sporting. Like I mentioned earlier, Sporting shocked everybody after Gonçalves embarrassed Ramsdale with that absolute golazo. That match went to penalties because of that. and Sporting were able to be victorious at the Emirates as well. That was the shocking part. You gotta salute the Portuguese clubs this season. Obviously, Benfica taking most of the spotlight for their incredible results in the Champions League. Sporting were also in the Champions League and had some memorable moments, but they did get demoted to the Europa League. But now they're this far, knocking out the likes of Arsenal, who are the league leaders of the Premier League at the moment. They could easily halt Juventus here. They have been picking up their form, of course, but a side that we all know could easily bottle a fixture like this. We've seen them already get frustrated in recent history to Portuguese clubs. Benfica in the group stage of the Champions League this season, and Porto in the knockouts 2 years ago. Sure, they're the favorites on paper, with an incredible attack of Dusan Vlahovic, incredible big game player Di Maria. Chiesa's also supposed to return by the time this matchup happens. After that point deduction, it was obviously clear that Juventus desperately need to do well in this Europa League campaign, as if they win it, they'll automatically qualify for the Champions League, and their top 4 Serie A spot won't matter. But they easily could secure top 4 in that as well, as they've been really bouncing back brilliantly. They are in really solid form at the moment. Many of their matches are cut extremely narrowly, but they're still doing the job at the end. Sporting are sitting at 4th in their domestic league, and Amorim has really had a thrilling season. Attackers like Pedro Gonçalves pulling off beauty moments in this competition already. He's the club's top goal scorer and assister at the moment. And even in the backline, we're seeing Captain Coyates pulling strings together for the club. One thing that leaves me worried though is their main goalkeeper Adan is injured at the moment, so they will have to rely on Franco Israel, who interestingly recently transferred from Juventus. I easily could be wrong in this. I'm not going to rule out Sporting whatsoever, but I am going to go for Juventus here. I think it will be narrow. I could be wrong on this as well, but I really think Sporting will put off a fantastic fight. I'm going to say in the first leg, Juventus are only able to win 1-0, even at home. And then the second, they draw 1-1. So yeah, Juventus advance on aggregate 2-1, which would be wild. But the fact that they just cut everything so narrowly, and the fact that Sporting also beat Arsenal so narrowly, they took it to penalties with them. Maybe they could take it to penalties with Juventus once again, and then have penalties go on their home ground. You know the fans are going to be fueled up then. But I'm going to stick with Juventus here. Best of luck to Sporting, though. Moving on now to Manchester United versus Sevilla. Sevilla, as we know, have been in really dreadful form in La Liga, but they did sack their manager, Sampaoli. Since his sacking, Mendilibar has only been in charge for 1 match, and it was an away win against Cadiz. Despite all those poor La Liga results earlier, though, Sevilla have still been killing in the Europa League, obviously. But yeah, the Europa League just always seems to be in their DNA. But still, the fact that they beat Fenerbahce, who have been scoring loads of goals this season, is still impressive. The fact that they kept 2 clean sheets against them is saying something. Manchester United, on the other hand, have had a pretty successful season despite many people doubting them. Sure, they just lost that 3rd place spot to Newcastle, and sure, last month they lost 7-0 to Liverpool. However, we cannot ignore the Europa League success. They've always been coming up against La Liga teams in this competition, and for the most part, they've been pulling through. Obviously, they had more diversity in the group stage, but Real Sociedad was their first Spanish opponent. The first match, Real Sociedad got the best of them, but then the second one, they beat them 1-0. Then they had to face Barcelona and beat them head-to-head, which was incredible. Then the round of 16, the first leg, they beat Real Betis 4-1. And now they're coming up against their 4th La Liga team in this competition. I think they can handle them. Although Marcus Rashford is injured and his return date is unknown, United still have the quality. They can be organized under Tanag. And like I said, seem to be doing it against the La Liga teams. I really won't be surprised if Sevilla prove me wrong, because this is their competition they love to excel in. But United at the moment have the track record for me to be convinced that they can make it to the semifinals. I'm going to say it happens. 2-0 win at Old Trafford, 0-0 draw in Spain. Yeah, this very much looks like a match where we could see an upset, but I'm going to play it safe and stick to United. Now the last matchup we're looking at, Bayer Leverkusen versus Union Saint-Gilloise. Leverkusen have really bounced back since the beginning of this season. The fixture between Monaco was an absolute thriller going to penalties, and since then, at the time of this recording, the club has been undefeated and been absolutely killing it. They beat Ferencváros twice head-to-head, both times finishing 2-0, and then right after that, they beat Bayern Munich as well. They're essentially one of the components as to why Nagelsmann got sacked. And right after that, they grab a very solid 3-0 win away against Schalke. Florian Wirtz's return has been absolutely phenomenal. Absolute game changer on the pitch, of course. But all the attackers have been pulling through. Azmoun has found his form again. Polojic has been fantastic. Diaby grabbing loads of goals and assists. So although Patrick Schick is injured, the attack is very much pulling through and has been marvelous, at least throughout this month. Form can dip, but Leverkusen are really pulling their weight here. Union Saint-Gilloise, however, of course we can't underestimate them. They did just knock out another Bundesliga side, Union Berlin, who have also been very impressive this season. The first leg finished 3-3, but the second leg finished 3-0. They're still fighting for that top spot in the Belgian league, and all their matches domestically this season have been 2-1 wins. The club's story has simply been incredible though, as they were promoted to the first division in Belgium since 1972, just 2 years ago, and now are in the Europa League quarterfinals, pulling off massive performances. Their captain from Malta, Teddy Teuma, has been absolutely phenomenal, grabbing loads of goals and assists himself as a midfielder. It's really remarkable. 9 goals and 9 assists at the time of this recording. Andingra, who is on loan from Brighton at the moment, has also gotten 9 goals, but 8 assists instead. Flip of a coin here, truly. This one screams a high-scoring thriller to me. I mean, based on how Union Berlin and Union Saint-Gilloise went, and based off of Leverkusen's encounter against Monaco, I see this being absolutely unpredictable. This one could go to penalties, and I'm going to say it does. I'm going to say the first leg, Leverkusen win 4-3, and in the second leg, Union Saint-Gilloise win 2-1, which has Leverkusen winning on a penalty shootout once again away, just like they did against Monaco. I see this being an absolute thriller for any neutral to watch, this matchup in specific. Both these sides have been really exciting, lots of talent on both of them. Absolutely electric football played by both of them this season. Xabi Alonso's had a roller coaster this year, but overall it's been pretty successful. And I'm going to say Bayer Leverkusen make it to the semifinals just narrowly. Won't be surprised if Union Saint-Gilloise prove me wrong once again, as I've been doubting them for most of this season, to be honest, in this competition. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are all of my Europa League quarterfinal predictions. Obviously, my opinion only matters so much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm torn about this one. I truly am. Won't be surprised if I get all of this wrong. Lots of incredible matchups we're going to be seeing. Champions League looks a little bit easier to predict, but at the same time, we've just seen AC Milan beat Napoli 4-0. It's going to be a thriller without a doubt, all of these, and yeah, I'll most likely be doing the Conference League as well very, very soon. So subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. La noche.